Everybody, some would say I'm the reverse, and welcome to my review for Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. This episode is also the ninth episode of The Flash Season 6. Let's get into my general thoughts. I thought this was easily the best episode of the Crisis so far. I thought it was a great episode with some really great moments, and we got some more cameos to talk about. Um, Not only was it a fun episode, but there was also just a whole lot of unexpected moments and just honestly badass moments from all of our characters. Let's start with how the episode starts. It starts with the first cameo of the episode. We are shown Earth 202. This scene shows the Huntress from the Birds of Prey TV show get disintegrated by the antimatter along with her world. I never watched the show. I hear it's like not very good. But obviously, even if it's not good, it's still fun to have the character in the episode. But still, even though I didn't watch the show, I still think it's cool that they're adding all these cameos in. It just makes the Arrowverse feel like humongous, and that's awesome because it is a huge multiverse of infinite Earths and stuff. So I'm glad they did that. But then we go back to the Wave Rider, and it turns out Ray gets his Paragon detector working, and it identifies the last three. I didn't know that we'd be revealed these last three Paragons, since it was kind of built up to be like a big mystery that it felt like they weren't gonna unveil it until maybe the end of episode 5. Um, but they ended up revealing it at the beginning of the episode. And well, first let's talk about the Paragon of Honor. This would be Martian Manhunter. Um, I was kind of guessing that he could end up being one because the Monitor, ever since the last episode of Supergirl, not the Crisis episode, but the last episode, the mid season finale of Supergirl, after the Monitor and the Martian Manhunter had that scene. I kind of suspected that maybe the Martian Manhunter would become Paragon, and he did. He became the Paragon of Honor, and then there's the Paragon of Love, which is Barry. Makes sense. He um, he is probably the big. He's probably the one in the Arrowverse that like really gets his strength from his loved ones, and he even said this in episode 3, I believe, to Ramsey. Of this season, obviously. And then the final one was the Paragon of Humanity, which is Ryan Choi, which is very fitting given the heart-to-heart moment he has later with Iris. Um, when Iris mentions, oh, well, he feels overwhelmed being around all these heroes and he's just an ordinary human. That's why Iris connects with him. And then she mentions that uh, they are what the superheroes fight for. Basically, what gives superheroes their humanity, which is cool because he's the paragon of humanity. So, um, yeah, those are the three final paragons. I was not expecting. Well, I was expecting Oliver to be one, but turns out he was not one. I thought it would be like the paragon of sacrifice or something like that. But no, Oliver has a different role, and I'll get to that later. So, um, obviously there's Barry and John, which are already part of the crisis, but then there's Ryan Choi, who isn't part of the crisis yet. So Ralph Dibney, Iris, and Ray, our Ray, not Clark Kent from Earth 96. Our Ray Palmer. They go out to find Roy, or excuse me, Ryan. I don't know why I said Roy. Probably because it's Ryan and then Choi, but they go out to find him. He's in Ivy Town. He's a scientist, and well, they struggle to convince him to come with them because he just wants to spend. He thinks the world is ending. He just wants to spend um, time with his wife and his kid. But Iris eventually, like I said earlier, um, she convinces him by talking about how they're how if the world ended, how he would feel if he actually had a shot at saving it. Can't remember exactly what she said, but he got on board. He went with Iris to the Wave Rider. So now all 7 Paragons are on board. Sarah, Kara, Kate, um, Clark from Earth 96, and then Barry, Jean, Ryan. So all 7 of them. And meanwhile, though, the Monitor actually restored Cisco's powers. Um, I don't know how I feel about this. You see, I I missed Vibe, obviously, and I loved Cisco when he had his powers. I preferred Cisco in the earlier seasons, but it's not his powers aren't the reason I don't like him anymore. It was just his character that felt different. But we got his powers back, which was cool. But also, it kind of made season 5 Cisco, like at least his story arc, feel pointless, because he went through like the back half of that season, struggling with his identity and if he wanted to be Vibe or not. Ever since Cicada, quote unquote, killed Vibe, and then Cisco got rid of his powers using the cure, and he felt free with Camilla or whatever to be himself, and then they just come back, give him his powers back. Seems a little bit pointless, but obviously I am glad that he has his powers back, just because I didn't really like the fact that got rid of him in the first place. So I don't know if he's gonna be keeping them. I'll talk about where Cisco ends up at the end of the episode, at the end of the review. But yeah, the Monitor gives him his powers back, and him, Caitlin, and Barry, they go and they go to find the sewer entrance where Nash was, but they can't open it. But luckily, Pariah, portals in or whatever. And obviously, Pariah used to be Nash, but he doesn't have his memories anymore. So Cisco uses his vibe powers. Cool to see them back. He uses them to basically vibe Nash's memories, since Pariah doesn't have the memories of Nash. And then they get into the thing using the secret order of the Paragon symbols or whatever. And then they find this huge generator looking thing. Pariah tells them that it is the nexus between the main multiverse and the antimatter universe. And basically they went there because that was the source of all the antimatter, and because it's a cannon, basically it's what's shooting the antimatter out. And um and they see this red blur. Turns out that it's the Earth 90 Flash. And it's it's revealed that um he once he got blinked out from the Elseworlds crossover, the anti monitor found him, and he put him on the cosmic treadmill, which was used in this episode. He put him on that, and it's basically charging the antimatter weapon. Um, but there's a force field around him. Cisco uses his breaches to let Barry get through. He knocks Earth 90 Barry off of there, and he stops the charging of the weapon. But unfortunately, there's this failsafe that if Earth 90 Barry gets off of there, it all it basically destroys everything. So oh, and I forgot to mention that Pariah actually brings in Black Lightning. Um, Sorry for the voice crack. He brings in Black Lightning, and they use him to basically overcharge the weapon. I believe it wasn't really explained, but no, I think he like sucked up the energy or something. And then Barry was gonna he's basically gonna vanish in Crisis. He was gonna do what his destiny said. He's been doing ever since the Flash pilot. Barry Flash missing, vanishes in Crisis. That was gonna come to fruition. It eventually did not, because Earth 90 Barry temporarily took Barry's speed. He took his place. He was running on the treadmill, and he was the one that vanished. We got a quick flashback to the original Flash 1990s TV show with John Wesley Shipp, who plays Earth 90 Barry, and him and Tina McGee. on that show. So that was pretty cool. Just connecting the dots from here all the way to back there. I thought that was really cool. And then, Earth 90 Barry dies. Seems like a pretty insignificant death in the Arrowverse, but fans of the original 1990s Flash, obviously this was very emotional for them. I never watched the show. I probably will eventually to to watch it because, it is technically part of the Arrowverse's multiverse. So, and then that destroys the generator. So it saves the multiverse, basically. Let's talk about the other storyline. John, Constantine, Mia, and John Diggle, they go to save Oliver's soul. And John goes to Earth 666. Instantly, when I saw the 666, obviously it made me think of the devil, because that is, the number of the devil. And then I made the connection to Lucifer. Rumors said that Lucifer was going to be in the crossover. The actor denied it, but here we are. He visits Lucifer at this club. Again, I don't watch Lucifer, so I don't know if he owns a club in the show or something. But yeah, John talks to him. Lucifer gives him this card, basically, and they go into purgatory, which is basically it's Lian Yu in Oliver's mind. It's basically um, his Oliver's personal prison. If you remember, back in Arrow season 4, when they entered Sarah's mind to get her soul back, that was the Lazarus pit. That was her. That was her purgatory. Coincidentally, purgatory is what Lian Yu means in Mandarin. Um, so yeah, kind of funny. Um, but they are going out and looking for Oliver. They find him. His monstrous form that we saw in the last episode. He attacks Mia. Um, he attacks them all, and John basically. Well, he doesn't have his memories, but John is able to get to Oliver. I thought it was cool that John is doing it because obviously they're super close. They're like brothers. I'm glad it wasn't Mia. Obviously, she is Oliver's daughter, but we just haven't witnessed that connection between them as much as we have Oliver and Diggle. I mean, the connection's been built over 8 seasons, over 8 years with these characters. It was just super fitting that John got this moment, and I'm glad it wasn't Mia or someone else. Um, like if Sarah came along or something, I'm glad it wasn't her. I'm glad it was John. But before they can leave, they're interrupted by a man named Jim Corrigan. Now, this is a huge deal. In the comics and in here, he is the Spectre. So, I can't believe they actually did this. This was a big theory on the internet that Oliver was going to become the Spectre, and then obviously there was casting of Jim Corrigan. It was just rumored. I don't think it was confirmed. But here we are. He is the Spectre. He confronts them. He says Oliver is going to take his place, and Oliver becomes the next Spectre. This is such a crazy moment because this is basically Oliver's fate. So, this is their way of keeping Oliver in the Arrowverse without killing him, giving him a satisfying ending. Obviously, we're still gonna have 2 more episodes of Crisis, and then after that, 2 more episodes of Arrow. So we don't know if this is his definite ending in the Arrowverse. But they're leaving the doors wide open for him to come back whenever he needs to. He's probably going to be looking over Mia and William and probably Barry and Kara and all the people he's mentored and stuff. He's just going to be there, and it such a cool moment. I don't know. Let's just move on. And then they go back. Everyone regroups on the Wave Rider, and then Lila comes back, who's been missing all episode. Lila comes back, and then they realize that this is not Lila. Well, she doesn't remember anything, and then they realize it's not Lila, and it's the Anti-Monitor. Then her eyes light up with white. She kicks the crap out of John Diggle, not Constantine, and and the crazy everything past this is just absolutely insane. Um, the Monitor stands up to her. He shoots like lasers out of his hand. She shoots one back. She overpowers him, kills him, sucks up all his energy, and obviously she's more powerful. And then the antimatter comes back and destroys Earth One, which is the final universe in the multiverse. Destroys Earth One, vaporizes it, and then vaporizes everyone on the ship. But before that, Pariah teleports all seven paragons to away from the ship, um, and it's revealed later where they go. But then the antimatter wave hits the Wave Rider, disintegrates Lila, disintegrates Tyler Hoechlin's Superman, Iris, Black Lightning, Ralph, just everyone on the ship, Diggle. Uh, Basically, at the end of this episode, there are only 9 people alive. The 7 Paragons, Barry, Sarah, Kara, Kate, Ryan, um, Jean, and then Clark Kent from Earth 96, and then there's Lex Luthor and the Anti-Monitor himself. Um, so the 7 Paragons, they are all transported to the vanishing point by Pariah, who was also disintegrated, obviously. Um, and basically, they got transported to the vanishing point because it's an area outside of space and time, so it really can't be destroyed, except for when it got destroyed in Legend Season 1. But it can't be like the antimatter and the anti-monitor, they can't get there. Um, and then and then antimatter like starts spilling out of the Kingdom Come Superman, and he dies. He basically gets replaced by Lex Luthor, who comes back with the Book of Destiny and reveals that he wrote his name over the Paragon symbol of Superman. This was absolutely, not only was it an awesome moment, a badass moment, shows how smart Lex Luthor is, and it's also hilarious as hell. Just him like using a Sharpie to write his name over this ancient symbol. It was hilarious. Um, yeah. Basically, well, Kingdom Come Superman has now been disintegrated by antimatter because him and Lex switched places, and it showed the antimatter basically disintegrating him. And yeah, now we're missing one Paragon. He's been replaced by Lex, who is the new Paragon, basically. And it's only them. This is like, this is how the episode ends. Um, I was not expecting anything from these past 5 minutes of the episode. Such a crazy ending. Super satisfying. Excuse me, I'm super tired. Super satisfying ending to this first 3 parts of the crossover. This the first 3 parts. This was the Infinity War of the crossover. Um, you know, everyone died. The entire multiverse is gone. The only people that actually exist at all, anywhere, everywhere, are the 7 Paragons, and the Anti-Monitor. It's crazy. And then, part 4 and 5 looks like it's gonna be the end game of the Arrowverse. So we have Infinity War where everybody dies, and then Endgame they're gonna bring everybody back, and they're probably gonna have some huge climactic battle against the Anti-Monitor. Um, I really like the fact that we don't get to see like any of the Anti-Monitor in these first 3 parts. The only thing we get to see about him is at the end of episode 2, where he shows up and recruits Harbinger basically, and then episode 3 when Harbinger is basically the Anti-Monitor, but that's not even him. So I'm really glad they didn't show a lot of him. Obviously, in parts 4 and 5, they're going to show a lot of him because he is the main villain of this crossover, and in the trailers, we saw a lot. But I can't wait a month to finish this crossover. It's been crazy. This crossover, I've seen a lot of people not enjoying this crossover. They thought it was going to be better than this. I am really enjoying it. I thought it lives up to all my expectations. Um, I think it's been absolutely wonderful so far. Easily the best crossover in the Arrowverse, and one of the best, like one of the best times to be an Arrowverse fan. It's just absolutely insane right now, and I'm totally ready for this crossover to come back in January. And I have honestly no idea what's gonna happen. I don't know if they're gonna bring Earth 38 back, Earth 1 back. Obviously, Earth 1's gonna come back. I don't know if they're gonna converge and make a new Earth. I don't know if just Earth 1's gonna come back and all the people from Earth 38 that they saved are just gonna go flow in there, and we're gonna have a depressing uh, world with not enough resources and overpopulation all over the place. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. It seems like it feels. I know obviously the Arrowverse isn't over, but just the tone and the feel of this ending of the episode where everything is destroyed, that's what it feels like. The hope of the whole multiverse coming back lies in 7 people. It's crazy. I was speechless at the end of this episode, honestly. And I can't wait. So tell me in the comments what you thought of the episode, what you liked, what you disliked. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for my episodes 4 and 5. Yeah, like I said, this is best episode so far. 10 out of 10. There's no way I can't give this episode a 10 out of 10. There's like nothing I disliked about it. Um, I forgot to mention Kara and Kate, which weren't even in the episode that much. They just had a little bit of conflict about Earth 38 bringing it back, just like I expected. But that's basically it. Um, and you don't even notice they're gone, just because of how like tuned into this episode you are. It's a crazy episode. So I cannot wait for this crossover to continue. I, I I can't get enough of this crossover. It is great so far. Tell me in the comment what you think about the first half of Crisis. Hope you guys enjoyed my review. See ya.